And I guess the right place to start is, are you on track for that first space flight? Can we expect that in 2020?
On our flight test program, and we were really excited to be able to carry off 2 glide flights in the last quarter. Obviously, we've got our earnings call on Monday, so I'll be a little bit careful about how I present things. But, we're really excited to get to our first space flight from New Mexico here at Spaceport America, which you see behind me. That's going to be our next big flight test, and I think if that goes well, then we'll be making really good progress towards Richard Branson's flight, which is obviously the main thing that we're all working towards right now.
George, I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself, but assuming we get that first one that you just mentioned up and running this year, what is the demand that you see further out, the second, the third, the fourth space flights, not only your ability, but then, of course, from the demand side, from people who are eager to do this?
Well, look, the amazing thing about this business is that we are going to be supply constrained for a long time to come, and that's going to make for a really great business. If you look at the number of people over 10 million net worth and above globally, you're talking about several million people. And if you look down to about 5 million and up globally, you're talking, tens of millions of people. And we think that all of those people can potentially afford a flight with Virgin Galactic. So the market is going to be tremendous. It's really a question of how we can scale up. That's something that we're going to do step by step. We're not going to start super fast, but we're going to scale up step by step in a safe way. And that's why adding on additional ships is going to be important as we go through the coming years.
We've seen SpaceX in talks for a fresh round of funding. Is that something that you are looking for? Should we expect to see a capital raise from Virgin Galactic?
Well, as always, we're looking out at our options, and we'll see where things stand. But best wishes to the folks at SpaceX. They're doing a great job, and we wish them well.
And just in terms of the race to get there, how long do you think before there is a kind of a genuine space tourism business? In other words, that it's not these expensive kind of one-offs or even second and third?
Well, what's really exciting to me is, like, in all of human history, only about less than 600 people have ever been to space since 1961, right? That's an incredibly small number of people. You can fit that number of people almost on like one airplane. We've already got 600 people signed up in our customer group. We've got over 400 people in our sort of small step community, people who have said that they want to buy a ticket once we reopen sales. And then we've got, almost, order of magnitude 10,000 people who've said that they would like to buy a ticket at some point. And so, we want to get to that place where, many, many people can fly. We're going to take it step by step. It'll start out fairly expensive, and that's okay. That's the way a lot of these experiences started off. Like the first flights across the Atlantic were very expensive, but then that price came down and it became more affordable for most people. So that's definitely the long-range vision of our company.
Interesting. So even though you talk about being supply constrained and a lot of demand, you do, given the economies of scale, expect some pricing to go down in the future, not up, given rising demand?
Yeah, I think what you'll see is probably the price going up a bit for a period of time. But the long-term goal, and I'm talking here, years, decades, whatever you want to call it, is really to make this something that a lot of people can experience. Because I honestly believe that not just will that will not just be really fun, but I think that's going to improve the planet. More people going to in space, experiencing space and seeing the fragility of our planet, I think will help us solve some of our world's greatest challenges.
George, I want to switch gears here just a little bit and just talk about the business as a whole. We know a few weeks ago that you stepped over to being the chief space officer. You do have a new incoming CEO who used to run Disney theme parks, really talking about the consumer side of things, right, and the entertainment and the adventure, really, perspective that he can provide. What does he bring to the table, perhaps, that makes you more optimistic about this business going forward?
Well, we couldn't be more thrilled to have Michael Colglazier on board. He is an incredible business leader, and he's really the right leader for the next 10 years. I've been doing it for about 10 years, and I'm going to be able to focus on some future stuff. He is really a master of building up experiential businesses, from sort of the starting point up to multi-billion-dollar business lines. That's exactly what we're hoping to do at Galactic, and I think, the market reaction was terrific, and I think people are really excited. He's already gotten his feet wet over the past week or two, and he's doing a great job, so we're excited to be working with him.
You did, though, also make the move from CEO to Chief Space Officer, George. What does that signify about what your focus will be and what changes for you now?
Well, I think what we're really excited about internally, and I think also what the investment community is excited about is number one, our core business, right? The suborbital business is going to be terrific. It's going to enable hundreds and eventually thousands of people to experience space. It's going to be a tremendously profitable business, and as we scale it up, and potentially it could scale to other parts of the world. So that is our absolutely core focus. What is also exciting is the potential for applying some of the technologies and learnings from those core businesses to future business areas. And the two ones that I'll be thinking a lot about will be number one, point-to-point high-speed travel, which is of course getting a lot of attention now, as well as orbital space flight, which is also getting a lot of attention. So these are two very exciting areas. They're not our number one focus right now, but they are going to be an increasing part of my energies, and I think everybody's looking forward to weighing in on that as well. What is the timeline for those? Well, I think actually, obviously, orbital space flight is happening today. And so, working with partners and we signed recently a Space Act agreement with NASA around this. I think there's a lot of nearish term opportunities in the orbital space. I'm not saying it's like tomorrow, but, over the coming few years, I think there's some really interesting opportunities there. High-speed point-to-point travel is probably a little bit beyond that, but actually it's an even bigger market, right? I mean, if you look out at the point-to-point transportation market or the luxury market or the higher-end transportation market, it's a huge, hundreds of billions of dollars of annual revenue are captured in that market. And so if we can just capture a bit of that, particularly maybe in a future where people want to be going faster or spending less, time on planes and things like that, I think that's going to be a really exciting business area for us.